you every step of the way. From animal husbandry to agro-technology, we've got it all covered. Register
about the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group PSAG, Nigeria Cluster 5.
The PSAG Nigeria Cluster
Cluster 5 in February 2017, comprising primarily private sector organizations and corporate foundations. Nigeria became the first UN member to inaugurate a local PSAG, mirroring the UN SDG Fund PSAG, i.e., PSAG Global, and other UN initiatives. The PSAG Nigeria works closely with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, SDGs, and the UN to ensure that the global goals are achieved in Nigeria. The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5, the driver of the business of agriculture masterclass, covers agribusiness and the manufacturing sector. The cluster is focused on SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production.
About the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group PSAG, Nigeria Cluster 5.
The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 is committed to achieving the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
The former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, inaugurated the PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 in February 2017, comprising primarily private sector organizations and corporate foundations. Nigeria became the first UN member to inaugurate a local PSAG, mirroring the UN SDG Fund PSAG, i.e., PSAG Global, and other UN initiatives. The PSAG Nigeria works closely with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, SDGs, and the UN to ensure that the global goals are achieved in Nigeria. The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5, the driver of the business of agriculture masterclass, covers agribusiness and the manufacturing sector. The cluster is focused on SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production.
About the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group PSAG, Nigeria Cluster 5.
The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 is committed to achieving the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
The former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, inaugurated the PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 in February 2017, comprising primarily private sector organizations and corporate foundations. Nigeria became the first UN member to inaugurate a local PSAG, mirroring the UN SDG Fund PSAG, i.e., PSAG Global, and other UN initiatives. The PSAG Nigeria works closely with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, SDGs, and the UN to ensure that the global goals are achieved in Nigeria. The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5, the driver of the business of agriculture masterclass, covers agribusiness and the manufacturing sector. The cluster is focused on SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production.
About the United Nations private
There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There are 200 billion dreams. Any one of these is able to begin a spark and change the world. There's innovation everywhere, from Aba to Ife to Kaduna. The land is green, the wealth is here. Yeah, this is our nation, this is our land. Yeah. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here.
If you take a look around, from the north to south, there are opportunities to make it here. But if all you ever dream is to go overseas, tell me how you'll ever know that wealth is here. Oh, yeah, oh.
This is our nation, this is our land. Oh, Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. So pass on the baton, pass on the torch. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. Oh yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here.
This is our nation, this is our land. Oh. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need.
If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here.
So pass on the light and pass on the torch.
Nigeria
Is ours, we have everything we need.
if we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. Oh yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have everything. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's
Hello, good morning, all. Good morning. Please, can you confirm that you're hearing me? If you can hear me, please confirm by sending a chat by saying yes, just to be sure that we're all together and we are set to start together. Excellent. I'm glad that we all can hear me. Good morning, all, once again. Thank you for joining this section on funds to farms, investing in agriculture with agro-business, agro-finance strategies. It is still the business of Agriculture Masterclass 3.0, which we've been on over the past 2 days. My name is Fred Mogu, a Senior Programs Manager with New Nigeria Foundation. I will be moderating this section this morning. It has been an amazing time with me, and I guess it's same with you at this year's Business of Agriculture Masterclass 3.0 so far. If you have been at the last sessions over the last 2 days of these classes, kindly put in the chat box. We want to hear from you. Please indicate what your experiences have been so far. Tell us how it has been over the past 2 days that we've been together. Thank you. Also, if you are joining for the first time, thank you for joining. You can catch a replay of all the programs that we have had. You can get them on the various channels, that is YouTube and Facebook of the PSAG Nigeria, Private Sector Advisory Group, the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group Nigeria platforms. So let me hear from you how the sessions have been. Okay. How has it been? In the last 2 days, what has been your experience? Put it on the chat box. We want to hear from you. We want to know if you've learned anything and tell us where you are applying, where you will apply, or if you're already applying what you've learned. Okay, so we ask you to subscribe to the PSAG Nigeria, as I said, platforms, the YouTube and the Facebook channels. Okay, let me say this. The aim of the masterclass is to disseminate agricultural opportunities from seasoned professionals. Over the last 2 days, today inclusive, what we've done is to bring in professionals who have passed through either what we are going through right now or whatever plans we would have in the future. So we have brought them to discuss the opportunities that are available. And of course, we've heard from their own experiences in dealing with some challenges they faced in the industry. And those who are interested in establishing agribusiness, we recommend that you continue to engage with us on the platforms that we have mentioned already. This edition of the masterclass is being implemented by New Nigeria Foundation. New Nigeria Foundation is a non-profit organization based in Lagos, Nigeria, that promotes sustainable development, sustainable community development through private-public partnerships. In this edition of the masterclass, we'll be exploring 8 value chains, and we have already done that with some, and we are continuing this morning. So far, we have had 4. I think we have had 4 so far, and we will conclude the rest today. Yeah, we've had 5. We are concluding with the rest today. I am moderating this session, and we will be expounding on funds to farms, investing in agriculture with agro-finance strategies. Please note that there are different strategies. There's strategy for construction, there's strategy for, but we want to see how we can use the strategies that are specific to agro-financing. We would like you to please be with us throughout this session. But before we go further, I would like to take us through 1 or 2 housekeeping information that we should have. If you have any comments, please put them on the chat box. If you have questions, put them on the Q&A box. That is for those joining on Zoom. Let's have your questions, even as the session is ongoing. So let's have them on the Q&A box. And for those joining through Facebook or YouTube, please use the comment section to put down your questions. We'll be glad to hear from you and address your specific concerns while the session is ongoing, and even to continue the conversations after this short time that we have. And we would like to say that we should be conscious in dropping our comments and our questions. We may not go deeply into revealing some personal information or personal details. Just take the specific questions as they apply to the questions you want addressed. We'll be taking polls at this point, and we want you to quickly help us to answer some of the questions that will be deployed on the polls right now. And I would like to call on our back office guys to please put up the polls. Thank you very much. Thank you. The polls are on the screen now. We invite you to please respond. The first question is there. Do you know the procedure to take to financially scale your agribusiness? It's a single choice question. Choose one of the three. Do we still need some more time? Thank you, Joan, for the comments. It says it's been an eye-opening and educative session for you. You said it has made you to see excellent agricultural solutions. Thank you so very much. That can be applied to your own. Thank you so much. Awesome comments. Favor, you said you can't see the polls. It's actually on the screen right now. Can you reconfirm if you can see it? Mahmoud, thank you. You have answered. Thank you, Olubenga from Abeokuta. Excellent. Favor can see it right now. Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. While that is still ongoing, let me at this point, like I said earlier, that we have used experts to help us understand the various aspects that we have been dealing with in the last 2 days. Today also we have a very distinguished person a distinguished resource person who will be taking us on the program for today. I would like to introduce him to us at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me introduce to us Mr. Nosa Osunde. Nosa is an enterprise development expert with a bias for the agribusiness sector. His exceptional contributions include the development of a national financial literacy and inclusion curriculum, which has been officially adopted within the Nigerian business landscape as part of a central bank initiative. He continues to make his skills and experience available to young and smallholder agripreneurs through a hand-holding process from ideation to maturity. Over the past 3 years, while serving as the agribusiness manager for the USAID F2F Nigeria agribusiness activity, NUSA has successfully facilitated access to both debt and non-debt financing, totaling more than $6.5 million. This is the right person to listen to for agribusinesses operating in Niger State. With his extensive skills and wealth of experience, NUSA continues to play a pivotal role in driving growth and sustainability within the agribusiness sector. Please join me to bring in our resource person, NUSA, to take us through the discussion this morning. Please show some love, some emojis. Those who can clap should clap. Thank you so much and welcome, NUSA. Take it up from here, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Fred, it's a pleasure of mine to be here. And I want to also welcome everybody who is on this meeting. And I wish you all a very good time. Thank you. So would you want me to start? All right, good. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, NUSA. Yes, thank you.
All right. So we'll be discussing funds to farm, investing in agriculture. So I want to, first of all, start us off with a brief introduction. So we need to look at agriculture and how it impacts our economy. Today, agriculture is not merely about cultivating crops, raising livestock. It has gone way beyond that. It represents a very, very important foundation of our society. It ensures food security. It ensures that there is sustenance for billions of people around the globe. So you can imagine a world where there isn't enough food for people to eat. You can imagine the kind of repercussion that would cause. There will be hunger all over, there will be malnutrition, food scarcity, and it will lead to a lot of other things beyond just these things I have mentioned. Now, beyond food security, agriculture also is a very, very important base, or it stands as a beacon for employment generation. It employs or offers, livelihoods for a very large proportion of the world's population. And even in Nigeria, you can see that from small-scale farmers in the rural villages to the skilled farmers like those that we have talked about. Look at people who are doing hydroponics now, agribusiness professionals in the urban centers. And then along the value chain of agriculture, there is so much employment that is generated from those who are into transporting, those who are into processing, there are those who are into research and different areas. So all of these interconnectivity, forms, it brings about a lot of economic stability and growth. So this is, like a brief highlight into the importance of agriculture. Now, we also want to look at what are the challenges that agribusinesses face today. particularly in Nigeria. So there are myriads of challenges. And these challenges, we need to be creative, we need to be resilient, and we need to also be very adaptable to be able to overcome these challenges. So there is market access and price volatility. This seriously affects agribusinesses in the country today. If you look at the price of major grains that we use, from soybean to maize, to even things like rice paddy, the prices have not been stable over the past couple of years. And this has an effect on the farmers who are, especially those who are into the primary production, and also those who are into processing. You find that it makes it difficult for them to plan or to do any kind of financial calculations long-term. Because today you hear the price of maize is 200 per kg, and within the next month, a couple of weeks, it's changed to 450 naira per kg. So there's so much volatility in the prices, and this is a lot of challenges for those who are in agribusiness. We also have climate change and environmental issues. We are all witnesses to the issues around the flooding that's been happening year in, year out. We have droughts in some areas, you have pest infestations. Sometimes even in recent times, we're beginning to have endangered livestock. All of these things disrupts our supply chain. It affects the farmers negatively. It affects those who are in the different areas of the value chain, in very, very different ways. Now, another challenge is that of technology and information, especially around the limited access. A lot of those who are into agribusiness, especially in Nigeria here, have limited access to technology and also information. This affects especially those who are, more in the rural areas. There is very little opportunity for them to get access on information around weather, access for them to get the kind of technology that they would like to, they would have impacted on their business, especially in terms of even cultivation, the kind of equipment that they can use, and all of these kind of things. And all of these things inhibit the adoption of very efficient farming practices. Then we have the core of what we are going to be discussing here today, which is access to finance. Securing finance for inputs like seeds, like fertilizer, and even the technology we just talked about, it remains a huge challenge. A lot of our traditional institutions or financial institutions are usually hesitant to provide loans for agribusiness ventures, usually due to the perceived risks associated with agriculture. So this also forms some very huge areas of challenges for those in agri. Then we also have the issues around land tenure and ownership issues. Because the structure of our land tenure system doesn't allow farmers or those who venture into agribusiness to have land in contiguous areas. So you find that if you go to an agricultural farming cluster, you may have somebody owning 1 hectare, 2 hectare, 5 hectare, so it's a bit complex for for those who want to go in and finance, where they want to see that, okay, this large expanse of land of about 3,000 hectares or 10,000 hectares is, basically for farming rice, or it's basically for farming cassava or any of those kind of crops. So it makes it also easy along all of the issues of management. Then we also have skilled labor shortage. Skilled labor shortage is a common challenge here. One of the thing is we have those that are unskilled, but in terms of those who are skilled, especially if you look at today in the rural areas, most of the young people in the rural areas are moving to urban areas in search of different kinds of opportunities. So you find that instead of them to even stay in the rural areas and support the agribusiness ventures, they come into the town, they want to ride motorbikes and get quick money, do very quick turnovers. So these are all part of the challenges for agriculture, that we have today. So we also want to look at the importance of finance for agribusiness growth. As we all know, finance is the lifeblood of any business, and more particularly for the agribusiness sector. It fuels, innovation, productivity, and also the sustainability. So what are some of those things that makes it very important? It can help to enhance the productivity of the agribusiness. So it allows the agribusiness to invest in modern technology. They can invest in high quality seeds, high quality inputs, fertilizers, machinery, different things that can make their business to do better. So it's one of the challenges that especially our local producers in the rural areas face. When they lack access to finance, they just make do with what they have. And then at the end of the day, their productivity is reduced, where they probably should be getting maybe 6-7 tons per hectare. They may end up just getting 1 ton, 1.5 ton, and this really, really affects the productivity. Then with access to finance, you can indulge more in research and development. You see that farmers can then say, okay, I have enough buffer, so let me do a test on this fertilizer as against that fertilizer, or let's try this kind of solution and see if it works. And at their local level, they can do this themselves. Then also, if there's that financing, you find more people, want to go into research and development, which requires some level of funding. So these are all areas where finance is very important. Also in the area of market expansion, we need to ensure that the market is very well expanded. With adequate financing, you'll find that the agribusinesses can participate in trade fairs, exhibitions, boost their sales, do online marketing, increase their brand visibility, establish strategic partnerships that can then lead to increased sales and revenue for their businesses. Then also infrastructural development. So they can then, with financing, you can do more of infrastructure. You can do better irrigation systems. You can do storage facilities that would help to reduce post-harvest losses. A lot more can be invested in processing plants, even if it's just the primary processing to improve, what you're going to be selling. Then also access to finance also helps in risk mitigation. Most times you find that, especially for rural farmers, they don't do insurance. And when you ask them, they tell you that they don't even have enough funds or enough finance, not to talk of giving out their money for insurance. So with this, they can do better insurance, protecting their crops against, or their farms against crop failure and natural disaster like the floods that we have. And even also price fluctuations. This definitely will reduce the risks to the agribusinesses. Then very importantly, capacity building. So with adequate financing, our agribusinesses can attend workshops, can go out and gain more knowledge, can even hire consultants that can actually come in and enhance their knowledge and capabilities around their businesses. Finally, with financing, there will be better sustainable practices, sustainable agricultural practices. So they could do more around promoting soil conservation, water management, biodiversity, ensuring long-term viability of their agribusiness. Now, what are we going to be covering in the course of this session? We're going to be looking at two parts. One of them is around financing options. So for those who are already in agribusiness or who are planning to go into agribusiness, whether it's in the area of primary production, processing, or whichever area of the value chain you want to come into, how do you access finance? So we're going to be looking at that on the one hand, and then we're also going to be looking at, for those who have the financing and are not really ready to get their hands dirty, but they want to play in the agribusiness sector. So how can you invest? What are the available investment opportunities that ensures that your business is still secure, and how do you do it and ensure that your finances or your investment is still secure? So those are some of the things that we'll be looking at. Would you want to go to the next slide, please? So great. A quick overview of the agricultural landscape. The global agricultural industry overview tells us that, we all know that agriculture is about one of the oldest and most essential human endeavor, and gradually it has evolved. Now, today, there are a number of things, that has come up, like there's now more economic impact of agriculture. It's beginning to, or it's holding a very pivotal position in the global economy. It contributes significantly to the GDP of many nations. Numerous nations are being driven, their GDP are driven by agriculture. It generates billions of dollars in revenue annually. So it's a huge revenue generator for a lot of countries. And that's one of the things that we can also make it, we can shift away from the oil mindset and really focus on agriculture. It used to be our the major driver of our economy. So we need really to go back there. There's also a lot of diversity in agricultural activities. So going from crop cultivation, livestock farming, aquaculture, agri-processing, agri-tech innovation, there are so many opportunities and also so many challenges. And with challenges, we also have a lot of opportunities, because challenges tells us that there's an opportunity to solve that challenge. And while solving the challenge, you also gain something. So the major agricultural regions currently in the world are North America, South America, Europe, Asia, then Africa. But Africa has the highest potential because of the climate, because of our soil types, and even in terms of our cultural traditions. But because of technological advancement, Africa is really not doing as well, as most of these developed nations. Then there's also technological advancements that are coming up in agriculture today, from areas of precision farming techniques to Internet of Things application, drones for crop monitoring, drones for different activities in agriculture. then genetic engineering for crop improvement. So there are just a few of the things, the kind of technological advancements that is coming up in agriculture. So we mentioned the key sectors of agriculture. So we have crop farming. I know in the last 2 days we've talked about different areas of agriculture, but just to touch a bit on this, and crop farming involves a wide array of things. Livestock farming also, from cattle to poultry to sheep to goats and to fish. These are huge opportunities for us. Some of our East African brothers, so that's the nations from East Africa, like Sudan, like Somalia, they do a lot of exports of cattle to places like Saudi Arabia, to some of these Middle Eastern countries. So there's a lot of opportunities in all of these things. Then there's also agri-tech. So we have a lot of people now who are beginning to come into these areas. How do you use artificial intelligence, blockchain applications? So this can be done not only even in finance, but also in agriculture, supply chain management, so many things, even data analysis, data-driven decision-making, so many areas around agri-tech. Then there's also agri-processing. So one thing is to do the primary production, but then we need to process these into consumable goods. Can we look at processing cocoa into chocolate rather than exporting the raw cocoa? What kind of food and beverages can be done? What kind of value addition can we do? For example, in aquaculture, there's a lot of fish production, and I'm a player in that sector, and I know that from time to time you have a lot of fish gluts, and then the farmers have to sell, sometimes even at a loss. So what are the kind of agri-processing that can come in? Can we look at things like canning, freezing, drying? What kind of packaging, can be done? So these are all different kinds of opportunities, in this sector. Then we look at the growth trends, the market opportunities in agriculture. There is a lot of increased demand for organic and sustainable products. So in a lot of the developed world today, you have a lot of demand for organic products, organic fruits, tomatoes, and all of that. So these are niches. We've talked about the technological advancements, driving precision agriculture. Then also the global expansion of agri-tech startups. There is so much opportunities for youths who are very tech savvy to come into agri and provide some of this needed drive. There's also a lot of popularity around plant-based protein these days, especially those derived from soybean, peas, lentils, and other crops. So these are all trends and market opportunities that are coming up in agri. Then again, e-commerce, direct-to-consumer sales. How can we bridge the gap of the middlemen who sort of, they are cutthroat to the farmers? So with e-commerce, you can do a lot of these things. So these are things that are being bridged today. And I think I would mention this when we talk about some current case studies. All right, so can we go to the next slide, please? Yes, agri-finance. We just want to look at what agri-finance is. Basically, it's around bringing in funds, bringing in finance, money, cash, whatever, to boost the agribusiness activity. So it supports various activities in the agricultural value chain, from funding, direct crop cultivation, livestock farming, whether it's agri-processing, agri-tech, innovations, whichever, it follows the operation. And the ultimate goal of agri-financing is to serve as that backbone that can actually promote sustainable practice and ensure that there is always adequate food on the table. The importance is that it serves as a catalyst for investment. So we've talked about a lot of these. It enhances agri productivity. It helps around risk mitigation. It encourages innovation, rural development, and all of that. Now, what are the roles of some of these financial institutions and also government initiative? So the financial institutions range from commercial banks, credit union, microfinance organizations. They provide the financial backbone to agriculture. They help to, please, I'm still on the previous slide. They help to assess the creditworthiness of the farmers, and they offer, tailored loans. Now, the government initiatives, they come in by providing things like subsidized loans, grants, agricultural insurance schemes, and all of these things that can provide a soft landing for those who are ensuring, who are investing in agriculture. Government on their own hand also help to ensure fair practices in the agricultural sector. They also come in to offer market stability. So in most cases, we talked about price volatility. There are lots of things that governments can do. When there's a lot of glut in most the countries, you find that the government can come in and mop up. And then when scarcity begins, the government begins to release some of these grains again into the market, just to ensure some level of price stability and not to distort the market. Then a lot of areas around capacity building, providing training on how to access this finance. So there are available finance, but in most cases, some of our people don't know how to access it. Then also around research and development. Government comes in here to provide things around research and development. Then market linkages. Okay, so please can we go to the next slide? All right, so here we want to look at how do we source finance? Where can we get the needed finance for our agribusiness, our agribusinesses? So there are lots of options that are available to us today. But then we need to be able to look at how to assess this and which of the best options would work for us. So there are traditional sources. For these traditional sources, before I even talk about banks, credit union, and the microfinance institutions, I want to talk about our family and friends. So for a lot of small businesses, we can already start to attract investments from our family and friends. These are investments that usually are softer in terms of the conditions, easier to access, and has less conditions, or they are less stringent. Then we have the banks. And the banks could be commercial banks, could be microfinance banks, could be the development banks like the Bank of Industry, like the Bank of Agriculture. So all of these banks offer different types of credit. Now, it's very important for us to understand that when meeting banks, there are things that you need to put in place. I'll talk about that in the next slide, where we'll talk about the requirements for accessing finance. But it's also important that you know that these banks would usually not fund you if you cannot demonstrate relevant experience. You also have credit union. So for some of us that are either already working in different places, or we are part of our, how do you call it, cultural union, youth associations, and all of that. We do sometimes what is called ASUS in local parlance. So we do contributions, and then you can loan or borrow against those savings that you already have. So these are also other opportunities. There are also different microfinance institutions. I think they are scattered all over the country. We have different ones which you can actually borrow from. Now, it's important when you are borrowing from these different sources that you are clear about the condition of these loans. So sometimes there's something about the tenor. How long is this loan going to give you? How long is the moratorium? So how soon do you have to start paying back? So in some kind of financing opportunities, you collect the loan today, and from tomorrow you have to start paying back. Yes, you may start paying back just pennies and small nairas and kobos, but in the long term, is it going to be sustainable? Can you actually meet up with all the payments? So these are things that you need to ask yourself, that is it possible for me not to default? Because when you then default, there are a lot of repercussions. So it's very, very important for you to understand the terms and conditions, right? We also have government grants. Sorry, before I go to government grants, for you to get this, a lot of people have met me and they want to access loans. You need to do some work. Sometimes when you are looking for a loan, visit all the different banks. When you visit the different banks, you are able to know what kind of, start from the bank where you bank with, also visit the banks that you don't bank with. In most cases, they would be willing to even use your banking experience and banking statement from other banks to avail you the required funding. So this is very important, that you go out and do a lot of research for you to get it. The same thing applies to all the other loan options. Then we look at government grants and subsidies. For government grants and subsidies, there are several of them that are available in the country. You'd also need to do some research on this, especially looking at the specific areas where you are into, whether it's crop farming, whether it's livestock, whether it's whichever part of agriculture that you are into. And then you also need to look at which part of the country are you into. So this is where it's important to engage with government institutions like Bank of Agric, Bank of Industry, things like SMIDAN. So sometimes it's good to find out, where is the SMIDAN office in my state? Who is the coordinator? I go and discuss with this person. Oh, I'm a young agribusiness and I'm looking to do X, Y, Z. So what kind of opportunity, what kind of grant? So I know sometimes these government organizations have needs where they are even looking for agribusiness entrepreneurs, and they don't find, because they don't have a database for them. So it's also good to go there and register yourself, register your presence. Oh, I'm into poultry. Oh, I'm into fish farming. invite them to come and see your place. This already puts you on their database. So when sometimes there's an opportunity, there's a grant, oh, we're giving out equipment for fish farmers, maybe smoking clean and all of that, or equipment for poultry practitioners, maybe cages and all of that. Your mind, your thoughts or your name comes up on their list. So this is also very, very important. Then we have venture capital and angel investors. For a lot of this, you find that they target more very structured businesses. And if you look today, a lot are coming into Nigeria, especially we have a lot of angel investors who are looking to invest around technology, around innovations. So especially for young people who are, this tech savvy. So most times if you look online, you are able to see some of those adverts around that talks about doing a proposal for you to be able to access such kinds of, or to apply for the investors to come in and look at what you do and then decide whether or not they'll be willing to put funds into your business. Then there are crowdfunding platforms. So these are platforms that you can actually go into and raise money from the public for your business. So different people are coming in with small amounts and are willing to provide that needed support with a promise for a return on investment after certain periods. We also have agricultural investment funds. These are not so common here, but we're beginning to have a couple of them. Then there's a lot of financing from international funding agencies and NGOs. You said GIZ, they have many grants projects whereby they provide some kind of granting support to agribusinesses, depending on the value chain of interest that they have. So I know I've worked in or engaged with several projects that were looking at mechanization, for example, and giving out simple hand tools, especially to women and youth farmers. There are also projects that deal in things around aquaculture, whereby they give grants of processing equipment, whether it's cold storage, fish drying equipment, and all of that. The same thing also for poultry. So different parts of agriculture, which is being funded. So again, here, a lot of research needs to be done because some of these projects are time-based. So you may say, okay, this organization is doing this now, but usually they have a timeline, sometimes 2 years, 3 years, tops 5 years. So you need to look at what's currently being done by which organizations. So you can just look up donor organizations around where you live and what they do. And sometimes as simple as visiting the Ministry of Agric, they will be able to give you a list of those international funding agencies, international NGOs that you can link up to, especially in your particular value chain. Great. So can we go to the next slide, please? So we want to also look at the requirements for assessing this finance. So beyond actually going to look for these different sources, which we've talked about, you need to be prepared to assess those finance. A lot of people just believe that, oh, once I go there and I ask, I will get it. Well, this is not the case. First and foremost, you need to have the experience with potential for growth. When I say experience, it's documented experience. So if I go to a project and I say I'm doing rice farming, they want to see how long have you done rice farming? What are the results? What has been your yield? What has been the impact? What has been the return on investment? Because they want to invest in projects that they can come back after 4 years, 5 years, and there would have been growth. They want to see how do we invest here, and we are sure that this investment is going to yield good, that we can point to tomorrow and say, oh, this business or this agribusiness, we invested in them 5 years ago, and today, look at what they are doing. So you need to, first of all, show them that you have experience and you have a potential for growth. Now, you need to also have a business plan document. So you can't just go and ask for finance. What do you need the finance for? So what area? What is it, your operations? Is it to buy inputs? Is it to do X, Y, Z? So you need to be clear about the funding that you need, how you are going to invest those funds, and how that fund, if they give you, is going to bring a return, and how it's going to impact not just you and your business, but also other people. So usually it's best when you are doing this to talk about the impact to even other beneficiaries, so other farmers and you know, other people along the value chain. So also, credit worthiness and collateral is very important. So you are asking for, say, 100 million, and you've not shown that you've been able to manage 1 million. Maybe the highest that you've been able to manage has probably been 100, 150,000. So it's going to be difficult for somebody to come in and invest 100 million for you. So this is where having a documented cash flow is very important. So a lot of our businesses, especially those that we support, one of the challenges that hinders them being able to access finance is that they don't have a credit history to show that, okay, this is what I've been doing over time. So the bank or the financing institution is not comfortable to give out this financing to them because they are afraid that their money may not come back, or they are afraid that these monies will not be utilized properly because they don't see that required experience again. You know, so for a lot of people, the advice that we always give is, one, have a business account, right? Very, very important. Two, run all your business transactions through the business account. This will help create that required cash flow for your financiers to see what you have been able to do, right? Then talking about credit worthiness, you also have to ensure that for those who probably have borrowed before, that you have not defaulted. You do not default. Now, collateral, the challenge we know with most agribusinesses in Nigeria is that a lot of agribusinesses do not have the collateral to show for it. But with a lot of support now, a lot of our financial institutions are beginning to, you know, accept what we call cash collateral. So if you are going to borrow, say, 10 million naira, they may ask you to put in 20%, 25% of that money locked in your account. That becomes a cash collateral. We also have recently had the movable collateral registry has been approved by the CBN and I forgot the name of the organization, but now what it means is that beyond requesting for landed properties or buildings, you find that the banks can now accept things like your laptop, things like your vehicles, your motorcycles as collateral. So basically, what you would need to do is once that equipment, so for example, if you have equipment in your farm, you can't decide to use them as collateral, but you need to register, you value that equipment and then register it under the National Collateral Registry. So this is all in a bid to make it easier for agribusinesses to access finance around the country. So this is talking about creditworthiness and collateral. It's also very important to have compliance. You should be compliant with all required regulations and standards. So for example, as a business, you should be registered. So either you want to register as a business name, or you want to register as a limited liability company, or if you are a group of friends or a group of people doing the business together, you may want to register as a cooperative. But it is very important that you are compliant with all the required regulations. So you have all your documentations. So this is also another very, very important requirement for accessing finance. Then good financial management. So in most cases, you should be able to show records of the past activities that you have done. So a lot of people, yes, we've been doing rice farming or we've been doing poultry for the past 5 years or for the past 6 years. And so, oh, can we see your records? And there's no records to show. So there is no date, my stocking date, what quantity did I stock, what quantity of birds did I lose, what quantity of feed did I give them, how much did I make? So these are things that will make it easier for the bank or whoever is investing in you to be able to say, okay, I think these are convincing enough. So they want to see this information. It helps in decision making. So if I'm coming in, for example, to put in a 10 million naira into your business, and you say you've been doing maize farming for the past 5 years, and I say, okay, what quantity have you been doing? Oh, we've been farming 2 hectares, 3 hectares, very good. So in the last 3 years, what did you farm? And you tell me, and I say, okay, what quantity of fertilizer did you use? And you don't have that information at the tip of your fingers or even in your record book. What was the yield per hectare? You see, these are things that would help me as an investor or as a financier, as a bank, to make a decision whether that business is a viable one, whether that business is going to give me the required return on investment that I want. So if I don't have all of this information, which you are supposed to provide to the investor, then it becomes difficult to invest in your business. So yes, let's move on to the next slide.
You can take that faster, that will be fine. We'd like to listen to those cases.
Sorry?
Yeah, go on, sir. So that we take
All
the
right.
case, the case study you have there.
Okay, okay, very, very good. I'll just try and run faster here. For investment opportunities in agri, this is now the areas where we can invest. So for those of us that have cash, we want to bring in our financing into the business. So you have agribusiness, agri-processing, value addition. This is a lot of areas that requires some investment to reduce a lot of post-harvest losses and all of those things. So we've talked about this earlier. So these are areas where we can invest funds. Also areas around precision farming and agri-tech innovations. So, okay, before I go to precision farming, let me just talk a little bit more about agri-processing and value addition. So we have a couple of businesses now that just basically look at value addition. And value addition can be as simple as just of taking products from the local farmers, cleaning it up, packaging it properly in the right weighted bags and, probably beautifully packaged bags, and then selling it off to the next to the next person on the value chain. So I'll give you an example. Nestle buys maize, but Nestle will not be very comfortable buying the kind of maize that they find in the market. So Nestle would prefer to have a buyer that has bought the maize from the market, has cleaned it up and removed a lot of the impurities, has also ensured that the aflatoxin level of that maize is, very okay, and it's within the range that they want. Then the maize is also packaged in standard bags. So you don't want to buy maize and they are not sure, okay, this one is 95 kg, this one is 98 kg, this one is 102 kg. So they are not sure what they are doing. So they want to be sure that this is done, properly. Secondly, the degree of dryness, they have a range. So does it meet that range? So this is an area where one could just go into and provide that service. What this does is that it creates additional markets for these local farmers, because now they are selling to Nestle, although through you as the investor. Then we also have precision farming, agri-tech innovations. In a lot of places now, drones are being used to provide fumigation services, to do spraying and all of those things. And it's just plotted. Then you can also use it to map out the farms. This can be done even for the farmers. It saves them a lot of health risk. It also helps to properly map and make navigating the farms very easy. Then around sustainable and organic farming, because of the amount of the challenge around health these days, people are more concerned about what they eat. So people want to have vegetables that are organic, that you never sprayed any agrochemicals on. And there are ways to do this. So these are areas where one would go into. Then export-oriented agriculture. So there's a lot of investment needed for those who are going to be helping to export our agricultural products. So things like ginger, things like even our yams and so many things. So, but a lot of our rural farmers cannot do this on their own. So there's a gap here for people to come in and provide this innovation. Then there's livestock farming, dairy industry. In poultry, for example, there's a lot of times where we have glut, and we find that the price of egg drops and the farmers are losing money. But there could be a lot of processing. Egg could be processed into powder. This has already been done in a lot of places. It just requires adequate investment here. Can we go into the next slide? So now we are looking at how can investors key in. So there are several ways that investors can key in. One, you need to do research and your due diligence. You need to look at what is the area that has my interests, that meets what I want to do. You also need to check what are requirements for this particular area. You need to understand that part. It's never advisable to go in blind. So you need to understand beyond what just you want to do. You need to understand sometimes back down the value chain and up the value chain. So if you're going to go into processing, understand a little bit about what the farmers go through, even up to where the inputs are coming from, then also how this gets to your customers. So this is very, very important. It's also very advisable to diversify your investment portfolio. You don't want to put in all your funds into one investment. So you want to check, how can I ensure that this can be split? You also want to do collaborative investments and partnerships. So how can you invest, with others? So it's not just you. You may not have the expertise, you have the finance. So how can I invest with others? So there's a lot of things going on now, especially in this area, whereby you have investors who have the funds and then they are partnering with farmers, sort of outgrower scheme, whereby you are bringing in the funds, the farmer brings in the knowledge and the labor and all of that, and then they do the farming, and at the end of the day, the harvest or the proceeds are shared. So, but then there's still a lot of research and due diligence that needs to be done in this area. So I would not want to dwell on the importance of long-term investment in agriculture. We've already talked about a lot of these importance in the past, in the previous slides. So basically, I'll come back and talk about these collaborative investments and partnership when I'm talking about some of the case studies that we would have. Let's go to the next slide, please. Next slide. So here I want to talk about protecting your investments in agribusiness. So for those who are just coming in to bring in investments into agribusiness, it is very, very important that you put in a lot of risk mitigation strategy. You need to think about a lot of things before they happen. So you need to look at what are the likely things that can happen, what's the likely challenge that could come up. So how can we manage this, right? So a lot of risk mitigation strategies has to be put in place. So for example, if you are doing crop farming and you are looking at providing investments to investment for the input, you need to look at, if the land is not well prepared, what happens? If the land happens to be waterlogged and it doesn't give you the kind of results that you want, and it is from that harvest that farmers are supposed to pay back, so you need to look at all of these things. You need to do required checks. So sometimes even before you start, you make it compulsory to do soil tests, to do all of these kinds of things. You also need to look at the insurance options. So this has become more and more important to ensure that your agribusiness investments are safe. We've talked about diversifying your investments. Then look at how do you adopt technology. So for example, again, I'll go back to doing some crop farming. Instead of doing manual land preparation, can you bring in tractors? Can you make it cheaper? Can you make it more efficient, right? Then ensuring that you do proper contracts. This is very, very important. I have a couple of friends who have engaged in agribusiness outgrowers. They've invested here, because they didn't have proper contracts with the outgrower farmers, they lost a lot of their investments. So it's important to do all of these things properly and ensure that your investments are safe. And now these kinds of investments can be done in different areas of the agribusiness value chain. So you could do it in poultry. So you could, as an investor, you could look at, I want to invest in poultry. So you look for a poultry, someone who's already into poultry, and say, okay, how much are you doing now? Oh, I'm doing 5,000 beds. Okay, what if I fund you additionally to do 7,500 beds? So you see, you're already investing there, but you need to have the background information. You need to have a lot of information about the return on investment. Then you need to have proper contracts. Then lastly, you need to do monitoring and evaluation of those investments. You don't just put in your money or the investment and then you go to sleep. This is not advisable at all. So it's very, very important that when you put in your fund, you follow up, probably on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, bi-weekly, whichever way, but just ensure that there is proper monitoring and evaluation of those investments. So let's look at the next slide. I think this is the slide talking about our case studies. So particularly for, I want to give 2 or 3 case studies, one in terms of financing. So I know a lot of people will look at it that, oh, it's not easy to access finance from the banks. A lot of banks want to finance agribusinesses today. Now, one of the challenges is that banks are usually not interested, they are more interested in providing high-ticket transactions. So I wouldn't go to a bank and say, oh, I want to do 1 hectare, 2 hectares of maybe rice, maize, soybean, whatever, and the bank will be interested because this is a lot of trouble for them. But if I can get about 50 of my friends together and we come in as a cooperative, and this is what has been done practically. It's one of the things, the successes that we had in Niger State, where we were able to bring in together a couple of farmers who were farming rice in the same location. They formed a cooperative and they were able to access input loan financing from the banks. And there are a couple of banks that are interested in this. Sterling Bank does a lot of agri financing, Federal Mortgage, FCMB, First City Money, FCMB does a lot, Stanbic, so a number of them. Now you need to present it properly. So this is the amount of money that we are looking for. Usually they may not give you that fund directly. So they would say, okay, let's see who is supplying you, who is your off-taker. So once you can put all of these things in place, you are going to be able to access that finance. So I want to talk about that. Then there are also, for the private investors, I know a couple of people who have invested in agriculture. So one of those that we worked with in Niger State is an organization called Farm on Wheels. She's a lady who does financing of agriculture for people in rural areas. And she provides them with inputs. And at the beginning of the season, so this is now when you are coming in with investment. She provides them with inputs at the beginning of the season, and then gives them also capacity building. So provides them with seeds, fertilizers, agrochemicals, and all they require, and then monitors them. So they have field agents who are usually with the farmers, meeting with them, taking pictures of the farm, ensuring that they are monitoring every aspect of the farm as it develops. The simple thing here is that as an investor, the investor is buying the inputs in bulk, so it already comes cheaper, and she's giving it to them at a price. So a lot of things have already been factored in that price. And so this is already helping the farmers. So it's a win-win situation for both the farmer and the investor in this case, right? And then at the end of harvest, they pay back that investment. So she also takes that, buys leftover from them, and also goes into processing. We've also had successful loans or finances provided for people who are into processing. So for example, an oil processor has been able to access up to 200 million naira from a bank, simply by providing what we call collateral management. This is also done by rice dealers. So the bank is not giving you the cash, the bank buys what you need for the business. So in the case of the rice miller, they need paddy. The bank buys the paddy from the supplier, pays the supplier, and provides the paddy to the rice miller. And now this paddy forms the collateral. So the paddy is locked up in a warehouse. A collateral manager is appointed, being paid by the rice miller, and then the collateral manager and the rice miller has access to the warehouse. So as the collateral manager is releasing the paddy to the rice miller, the miller is continually paying back that loan gradually. What this does for the miller is that it provides him access to paddy throughout the period at a regulated price. And then he's able to pay back gradually as he's using. He would not have had the funding to raise the money and buy that quantity of paddy as at the time he bought. Then in terms of investments that yield very high return, there are different investments that yield high return, but a note of warning here is that sometimes investments that would yield high return are also very risky. So we usually advise that you start, with those that have, moderate to or just an about average return on investment. So for those who want to go for very high return on investment, they say, okay, you are investing in an agribusiness venture, and your return on investment is 40%, 30% in a 6 months period. Please note that this is usually not how agriculture works, at least to the best of my knowledge here in Nigeria at the time. So you need to be very, very careful about investments that they will tell you yield very high returns on investment. So it's also very important to note this. In terms of lessons and takeaways, I would want to just point out that for those looking for finance, it is possible. There are a lot for the want of time, I can mention so many that agribusinesses that we have supported to get finance, either from financial institutions or from individual investors, or even in terms of grants. So there are quite a number that are getting it. But for you to get it, you need to be prepared. You need to have the required, all the requirements to access this finance. So I think I would want to take a stop here. If Mr. Fred, if this is fine, I think, is that the last slide?
Thank you very much. That is. All right. Thank you so very much. Yes, we appreciate the insights you have provided. Thank you so very much. So let's quickly take, in a very, very short time, if you can help us with one or two responses to a number of questions asked, but for want of time, we will take one or two, and then we'll continue the engagement outside this platform for those on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll respond to all the questions. But let me give you this, Nosa, for you to help us give an understanding of this. Someone says, Akim says, is it sustainable to start a cassava processing business with a loan and partnership?
Okay, so for businesses, if you have not done it before, usually we don't advise that you start with a loan. For whatever business that you want to do, even most financial institutions would not give you a loan just to start. So usually it's important that you try. That's why when I was talking about sources of finance, I mentioned family and friends. So you can try and source funds from your family, from your friends. Oh, I want to start a small cassava. So start with half a hectare, run it and see, and learn lessons from there. And with those lessons, you can then scale up. But if you've not had experience before, you don't know how the market is, you don't know how the production system is, and then you jump into it and you are doing 100 hectares, 50 hectares, or whatever, you are likely to get your fingers burnt. But when you start small, with your own resources, at the very most, family and friends, then you can learn from there and scale up.
Okay, thank you so very much for that insight. Ayodeji says, good day, sir. I'm Ayodeji from from Farmwell, West Africa, Kogi State. We have a maize farm of about 100 hectares. It is eye-opening to learn that companies like Nestle would not buy maize directly from a farm like ours unless it has been treated to their desired specification. I would like to learn more about these specifications or get direction to where I can read about them. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. So you see a lot of the large companies that buy products, they use these products for different things. So for example, Olam buys products, mostly they use it for animal feed. So their requirements may not be as high as that of Nestle that uses it for human consumption. For human consumption, there's a very, very high requirement. They need to meet up with a lot of international standard, ISO this and that, and then NAFTA. So they need to check for a lot of things. How dry it is, the aflatoxin content, the so many things. I cannot remember all of those things offhand, but it's something that we can get and share with you. Now, I know a couple of companies, particularly in Kaduna State, that do a lot of this. What they do basically is they already have the partnership with these big companies, Nestle, Nigerian breweries, and all of that. And they supply them things like maize, guinea corn, sorghum, and all of those things for their production. But because it's for human consumption, they have a process. So first, they get the maize from the farmers. The maize is checked for 1, aflatoxin content, 2 is dryness. If it's not dry, they have a way of also drying it to ensure that it requires the moisture content, meets the moisture content of their off-takers. And then they have 2 ways. One is manual and the other is through a machine where they load the maize through and it sorts it out. It's just like a rice sorter in a feed mill, in a rice mill, which sorts out the good grains from the ones that are broken and the ones that are kind of dark and not so clean. So it sorts out the grains into, by the time you pick, you scoop the grain, whether it's maize or sorghum or whatever, you find that they are all looking the same, they are all uniform. So they are all clean. So it cleans it up and then now bags it into 100 kg bags. The ones you usually buy from the market are not bagged in that way. So they just bag them, they load it, and then they sew it up. So when you come and you weigh, you find that some will weigh this amount, some will weigh that amount. So it's usually not uniform. But in this case, they do it uniform. And once their truck goes to the company scoops some of the bags, checks it for all of these, their requirements. And once it passes it, they allow it to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Nosa, for this response. It's really very awesome. So for Farmwell West Africa, we actually do ask you to please identify the buyers, what they need it for. I think that's what Nosa is saying.
Yes.
They have different measurements or different standards for those different requirements for those who are for human consumption, for animal production, and all that. Thank you so very much, Nosa. Well, when this program started 2 days ago, the Honorable Minister in the opening statement, his opening speech, said that finance is the elephant in the house. And I thank you so very much for doing justice to this today. We appreciate the insight you have provided. And then we want our entrepreneurs to please note what he has said today. He said it is better to come together, that the banks may not be in a hurry to deal with someone who may be a single farmer with few hectares of land. So thank you so very much for this. We still have a number of questions, really, but we do not have all of the time to treat all of them. We will have them put together. If we have to get back to you, we'll get back to you, and then also post the responses on the various platforms. So thank you so very much for having this time with us. And please, we'll post a poll on the platform right away for those on this platform Zoom, and then for those on the other platforms, we also want you to respond. But while we are doing that, let us please appreciate Mr. Nosa, who has given us great insights, great understanding of how to source finance for our business, whether as new entrants or as a going concern. Please, let's appreciate him and also invite you to quickly complete a poll on the platform. Now, there's a link that's shared. Okay. So let's have the poll right now, and then let's also appreciate our resource person, Nosa.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to also speak here and engage with everyone. I'm very happy to be here, and I will be willing to respond to any of the questions that are sent to me for feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Do we have the poll? Okay, so if we have any feedback that you still have, kindly type it in. We will, from the back end, we will ensure that all your comments are properly collected and then will be addressed. So if you have any comments, if you have any feedback you want to give to Mr. Nosa or even for the program, let's have them. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nosa. We appreciate the sessions with you, the moment with you. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, everyone, thank you so very much. The next session will continue, and we would like everyone to please, as we have done in the past 2 days, to continue, join us in the sessions. Would like to okay, I can see that the poll is up. Okay, thank you so very much. Please okay, I still see that we are still having them come up. Thank you so much. There are quite a number of us who have given commitment to take actionable steps from the training, from the sessions we have had. Yeah, a number of us also say we understand and we are clearer about what we want to do. We recommend that you continue to the platforms to continue to get further guidance, please. On YouTube and on Facebook. And then some are still assessing the possibility. Thank you, everyone. So we like to invite you to continue to stay tuned. Remain with us as we go into the next session in a short time from now. A notice will also be placed you will see it on the screen. Thank you so very much. We appreciate everyone. Thank you. Bye for now and see you in the next session.
About the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group PSAG, Nigeria Cluster 5.
The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 is committed to achieving the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
The former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, inaugurated the PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 in February 2017, comprising primarily private sector organizations and corporate foundations. Nigeria became the first UN member to inaugurate a local PSAG, mirroring the UN SDG Fund PSAG, i.e., PSAG Global, and other UN initiatives. The PSAG Nigeria works closely with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, OSIP SDGs, and the UN to ensure that the global goals are achieved in Nigeria. The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5, the driver of the Business of Agriculture Masterclass, covers agribusiness and the manufacturing sector. The cluster is focused on SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production.
About the United Nations Private Sector Advisory Group PSAG, Nigeria Cluster 5.
The PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 is committed to achieving the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
The former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, inaugurated the PSAG Nigeria Cluster 5 in February 2017, comprising primarily private sector organizations and corporate foundations. Nigeria became the first UN member to inaugurate a local PSAG, mirroring the UN SDG Fund PSAG, i.e., PSAG Global, and of Agriculture Masterclass covers
There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There are 200 billion dreams. Any one of these is able to begin a spark and change the world. There's innovation everywhere, from Aba to Ife to Kaduna. The land is green, the wealth is here. Yeah, this is our nation, this is our land. Yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here.
If you take a look around from the north to south, there are opportunities to make it here. But although you ever dream is to go overseas, tell me how you'll ever know that wealth is here. Oh, yeah, oh.
This is our nation, this is our land. Oh. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. So pass on the baton, pass on the torch. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. Oh yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There are 200 billion dreams. Any one of these is able to begin a spark and change the world. There's innovation everywhere, from Aba to Ife to Kaduna. The land is green, the wealth is here. Yeah, this is our nation, this is our land. Yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here.
If you take a look around from the north to south, there are opportunities to make it here. But if all you ever dream is to go overseas, tell me how you'll ever know that wealth is here. Oh, yeah, oh.
This is our nation, this is our land. Oh. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. So pass on the baton, pass on the torch. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. Oh yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours, we have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There are 200 billion dreams. Any one of these is able to begin a spark and change the world. There's innovation everywhere, from Aba to Ife to Kaduna. The land is green, the wealth is here. Yeah, this is our nation, this is our land. Yeah. Nigeria is ours, we have The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. Oh yeah, yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah, Nigeria is ours, we have everything.
Okay. The music has been killed. I was dancing to it. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for the engagement. The engagement on Zoom is amazing. On Facebook, on YouTube. YouTube is so bubbly as well. We're reading the comments. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Quickly, we're going to log out and log back right in. Say in the next 2 or 3 minutes, we are streaming on Zoom. We would want to start a new video for the next session, Fields to Brands, the business of agro processing and value addition. And one of our panelists, she's been on the Masterclass since inception, since we started rather for this edition. We're happy to have her on. We're also expecting the next panelist very soon, but because we have to end the live stream on YouTube and Facebook so that we don't have like maybe 5 hours, for example, you know, of a video on both platforms, we will quickly end this. And please let us not lose the steam. Today is the last day, and you know they say the best for the last. Well, all sessions have been the best, you know. So thank you so much for staying on. We'll quickly do that, and in about 3 minutes thereabouts, we'll log back in. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you.